Hi guys, you're welcome to another tutorial on Sew with Abby channel. In today's video, I'll be showing how to cut and sew a shirt with cut together sleeves. If this is what you like to see, then keep watching. Let's get into the video. For this tutorial, these are the materials I'll be making use of. And for my fabric, I have crepe fabric here, which is 1.5 yard. I'll be drafting my pattern on this paper before I cut on my fabric. This is for the back pattern, while this is for the front pattern. The front pattern is wider than the back because I added extra 2 inches as the button allowance because this is a shirt. Now I'll fold in the button allowance, then proceed to draw the starting line, and from that starting line I'll take the vertical measurement. I will place my tape on the starting or shoulder line, then take my shoulder to bust measurement, which is 9.5 inches. And from my starting line again, I'll take my shoulder to waist measurement, which is 16 inches. Then I'll measure the length I want this top to be, which is 25 inches. Afterwards, I'll draw straight lines across. The next thing to do is to take the neck measurement. The width is 2.5 inches, while the depth for the back is 1 inch and the front depth is 2.5 inches. The next thing to do is to take my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 15 inches, divided by 2 is 7.5. And from the shoulder mark, I will mark my sleeve length. This is where you determine how long you want your sleeve to be. I want my sleeve to be long by 7 inches. Now from that point, I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. The next thing to do is to measure the sleeve opening. From the shoulder slope, I'll come down by 8 inches. That is how wide I want my sleeve opening to be. Then I'll connect the point to the shoulder slope. Now I want to take the round measurement. On the bust line, I'll take my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 9.5 inches. Then I will add extra 1.5 inches as ease allowance because this is supposed to be a free shirt. You can add more inches as your ease allowance. It all depends on how free you want the shirt on your body. Now the total measurement I have here is 11 inches. I'll mark the same thing on the waistline as well as the hem line. Then connect the 3 points together. The next thing to do is to come to the bust line and come down by 1.5 inches. Then create a curve towards the sleeve opening. And at this side, I'll come up by 1 inch, then create a curve. This is to give that side of the shirt a nice shape. Alright guys, I'm done drafting my shirt pattern. The last thing I'll do is to add stitching allowance. I added ½ inch stitching allowance to the shoulder, then 1 inch to the sleeve side as well as the hem. I'll go ahead now to cut it out. I will extend the front neckline to the front pattern paper and also trace out the neck. So this is the back pattern. When cutting on my fabric, I'll be cutting it on fold, and for the front pattern, I'll be cutting double of it. And this is how I'll be placing my button. On the collar, there will be one button and the distance between each of the buttons will be 3 inches. You can decide to make 2.5 inches as the distance between your button, okay? I'll go ahead now to cut each of these on my fabric. Alright guys, after cutting the pattern on my fabric, the next thing to do is to start stitching. But first, I'll notch the button allowance at the top here as well as the hem. The first part I'll be stitching is the button allowance. I will give it a double fold to the wrong side of the fabric, then run a stitch on it, and I'll do the same thing to the second piece. After folding in the button allowance and running a stitch on it, this is what it looks like. I will lap it on each other and pin it down. The next thing to do now is to join the shoulder. I'll place the back piece on it, right side facing each other. Head over to the sewing machine to stitch using 1/2 inch measurement. After joining the shoulder, the next thing to do is to stitch the hem of the sleeve. I'll be stitching the hem of the sleeve with the allowance I left for it while cutting. Okay guys, I'm done stitching the hem of the sleeve and this is what it looks like. The next thing to do now is to close the side, and I'll be using the 1 inch allowance I left for it while cutting. After closing the side, I will also hem the down part. This is what I have after closing the side and hemming the down part. The next thing I want to do is to work on the neck area. I want to cut out my collar, so I'll measure round the neck to know how long my collar is going to be. If you are still with me at this point and you are yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you. Alright guys, what I have here is 17.5 inches. I will be drafting my collar here before I cut on my fabric, and the first thing I'll do is to draw a straight line at the edge of the paper. Then I'll measure half of what I got at the neck area. What I got was 17.5 inches and half of it is what I'll measure here. And from that mark, I'll go up by 1 inch, and at the center fold, I'll mark 1 inch. Then connect the point with a straight line. I will also connect the points here. Now from this point, I'll go in by 1 inch and also go up by 2.5 inches. Then draw a straight line to connect the point. Now from where the 2.5 inches measurement stop, I'll go out by 0.5 inches and draw a slant line back to the straight line. From that 1 inch mark at the center fold, I'll go up by 2 inches. Then connect the point to the 2.5 inches mark, and afterwards I'll cuff the tip of the collar like so. And this is all for the drafting of the collar. I'll go ahead to cut it out. So guys, this is what the collar looks like. I'll go ahead now to cut it on my fabric, and I'll be cutting 2 pieces of this pattern. I added 1/2 inch stitching allowance to my fabric and I cut out 2 pieces like I said. I've gone ahead to iron interfacing to my collar, and I'll head over to the sewing machine now to stitch, and this is how I'll be stitching it. After stitching my collar, I notched the corners and the edges before I turned it right out. I also folded in the hem of one side of the collar. The next thing to do now is to attach it to the main piece, but first I'll notch the center and also notch the center back of the neckline. Now I can attach it together. I will make sure the notched part aligns, then pin the collar around the neckline. I will head over to the sewing machine now to stitch with 1/2 inch measurement. After stitching one side of the collar to the neckline, the next thing to do is to use the other side of the collar to cover up the stitch. Then I will top stitch on it. After stitching the other side of the collar, I also top stitch round the collar. The last thing to do here is to create buttonholes and attach the button, and I'll be attaching the button the way I explained. One will be on the collar and the distance between the next one will be 2.5 or 3 inches. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you find this tutorial helpful. Kindly give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you are yet to. See you in my next one.